Elul, the fourth day of the creation of the world, corresponding to the 17th day of September. Today's class has been dedicated for the continued refuah shelema of Rachel Leah Bat Shoshana. May Hashem send the refuah shelema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf, among all of the holim of Am Israel. Amen. We express our gratitude to the family and friends that graciously sponsored today's class in her refuah shelema. So tomorrow night, Be'ezat Hashem, will be Rosh Hashanah, the birthday of mankind. So Be'ezat Hashem, what I would like to do today, with your permission, is to go over very briefly the final two short but very deep messages of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, the famous Ramak from the Sefer Tomer Devora. And Be'ezat Hashem, we're going to switch the topic to start reviewing the halachot which are applicable for this coming Rosh Hashanah on Shabbat, Rosh Hashanah on Sunday, and Rosh Hashanah at home. So please bear with me. There is a lot of information from the halachic perspective to be shared with the Kahal Kadosh, but let's welcome one more time Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, and we're going to try to conclude the learning of Tomer Devora today. Since tomorrow is Erev Rosh Hashanah, I would like to concentrate specifically on the halachic and practical matters of Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Moshe Cordovero writes, and it says, one of the ways of connection with the Almighty, it says, Rishona lekulam, on top of the list, shelo yitga'e libo bechol asher lo. Don't allow your heart to expand in an arrogant or haughty manner for the assets or for what the person is actually completely the opposite. Ya'amid atzmo lifnei kono. The person should stand in front of the Almighty, kedal shoel umithanen, like a beggar, meaning to say, like a person who needs help. Ulargil atzmo bemizvah zo, and train yourself to be humble in front of the Almighty. Be'afilu sheyeh ashir, and even though that a person may be financially wealthy, yahashov shendabek imo mikol asher lo me'uma, besarich lerachameh habore tamid. It says here very simple. A person needs to understand that even the money that a person has, nothing stays with the person. In other words, the money doesn't attach to the person. Like the person says, oh, this is how much I have today, this is mine. It says completely the opposite. In 1 second, God forbid, a person can come down, or a person, Baruch Hashem, can grow up. And it says, Sarich lerachameh habore tamid. A person must understand that we must receive constantly Hashem's, God's heavenly compassion in order for us to preserve whatever we have. And that's why there is a pasuk that says, Beram levabecha beshachachta. Your heart will inflate and you will forget the Almighty. Meaning to say, the person may come and say, Kohi be'osem yadi, me, myself, and I, etc. And it says also when a person prays the concept of humility, the concept of anava, and this is how the more humble the person becomes, and the more honest the person is with themselves, that whatever they have is not theirs, is actually, a person has it because Borei Olam allows them to happen, so that, to have it rather, this should bring into the person a certain level of humbleness or humility, and recognizing that we are depending on the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he brings also, and it says that a person, and he uses a very deep Kabbalistic language, he talks about Merkabah. Merkabah literally means a chariot. We know that Merkabah may be an Israeli weapon, perhaps, or a jeep, etc. But the original concept of this word is Maaseh HaMerkava, a very lofty, Kabbalistic, spiritual item discussing the almighty method of transportation. That's what it is, Maaseh HaMerkava. But it says we need to become the vehicle of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, obviously, this vehicle doesn't mean a four-wheel drive. It literally means representative of Hashem in the world. Not only that, it says very simple. It says the Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, Beitkasher bat Torah, and a person should bind themselves with Torah learning, with Torah-oriented people, with Torah-oriented synagogue, be'ashechina imo mehila, and godliness will dwell with the person, even though we are in Galut, even though that we are outside of Israel, and we are surrounded by whatever adversity, situation may come around us, but yet, as long as I'm connected with God, I know who I am. I know who we are. I know what is my mission and my responsibility to develop as a Jew in the world, etc. And it says, goes even further, and I'm not going line by line, but just a person to understand. It says, Borei Olam is the creator of the world. And every situation, if it's a lion, if it's a fire, or if it's an earthquake, or whatever situation it may be, they are messengers of the Almighty. And that's part of the emunah element, that a person must understand that everything is from Hashem. And everything that happens, it has the good part of it, so to speak. And therefore it says, a person must reinforce Ashgahato Tamid. A person needs to understand that God constantly supervises and watches us for protection, for salvation, to provide what we need, etc. And that should bring, it says here very clear, that should bring a certain level of not fear, but awe, understanding the essence of godliness, dealing with the person directly. Another one, he says, be careful with the transgressions, because transgressions are connected to different parts of our body, and transgressions are connected to our soul as well, and to our body. So it says that every time, God forbid, a transgression is being committed, that particular transgression or that particular part of the body that committed the transgression, it also has a certain kind of spiritual blemish, so to speak. Not only that, he says in the next point, says Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, is very simple, he says. Our deeds, our actions will determine our bonding with God. The nicer our actions, the powerful our actions. And I'll tell you one thing that I said to somebody earlier today. A person made a tremendous amount of effort for something benefiting the community, and then never materialized. And this person was a bit frustrated. After all the work that I put, nothing happened. So I said to him something that we discussed in the past. When it comes to do mitzvot, when it comes to do things for people, when it comes to do hesed, when it comes to do something for the knis, for the kahal, for the community, the effort invested is really what counts. If it's going to become successful or not successful, necessary and not necessary, that is a whole different topic. I don't have the answer to that. But one thing is for sure, hishtadlut. Hishtadlut means in English, making an effort to do something good, to help someone. It goes a very, very long way. And that's what Rabbi Moshe Cordovero says. The more good deeds we do, or we try to do, we get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But if God forbid, our way of acting and actions are unholy or inappropriate, guess what? That also creates a certain blemish spiritually in our godly relationship, but also creates a greater distance between God, because a mitzvah, as we mentioned in the name of Sefer Hasidim, that says, Ma'asecha yekarevucha, our deeds, good deeds, gets me closer to the Almighty. And God forbid, wrong deeds or inappropriate deeds, it keeps me away from the Almighty. And therefore it says a Jew must make the effort that godliness dwells with a person. Medabeket. And it says, then he talks about the concept of marriage. He says, like marriage is the relationship between husband and wife, so serving God properly, doing what we're supposed to do in a proper way, etc., that also creates like a marriage, not in a physical sense, but the level of connection, the level of bonding. There is nothing closer in a relationship like husband and wife. No other relationship gets that level. And that's the reason why he explains, and it says, Ki ikar shechina la'adam mitzad nekeva. It says, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, something very, very deep, and we'll take the opportunity to bless all the single men and the single young ladies that they're looking to build their home. The Be'ezat Hashem, Borei Olam, with the year coming up, Borei Olam will send them a suitable nasib, a suitable match, a suitable shidduch to build a beautiful home. And it says, you know why? Ki ikar shechinat ha'adam mitzad ha'nekeva. This is too deep. But it says because the main channel of connection with God is with the presence of the wife. And then we are able to understand why the Gemara writes that a man that is not married, it's incomplete. It's missing happiness, it's missing beracha, it's missing peace, even the Torah. And therefore it says, there is a godly relationship with a person and a physical relationship with the wife. So it says, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, like you need to take care of your wife, you need to take care of your other wife. What is taking care of the first wife? She'ira kesuta onata, time, feeding, dressing. It says also you need to take care of the other wife. Who is the other wife? It says Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, the Shekhinah, God's presence. God's presence. You know, what are you going to do with God? Okay, God, what are you going to eat today? Okay, so I like to eat. Give me a quarter pound of Tomer Devora. Give me a quarter pound of Benishai. Give me a quarter pound of Tzionim Yekarim. And let's wrap a muffin to go. That is God's menu. Now, what is the garments of God? Literally, our modesty, the way we talk, the way we conduct ourselves, the way our external life appears to be, and our behavior as well. Time for praying, time for tefillah, time for chesed, time for Torah learning. And God forbid, the idea is not to take away from the honor and prestige of the wife. Actually, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero put the wife in a pedestal. Yani, the wife is God's representative at home. That's basically what he's saying. And that's why the bonding between husband and wife in an emotional and spiritual way is required. And that's the reason why Shalom Bayit is so essential in a home. Because if a person truly wants to develop godliness, the home is the foundation. Now we are able to understand retroactively that a person that goes through Shalom Bayit issues, there is also some spiritual element that requires improvement, or that requires perhaps recognition that there is a problem. And with that, we move on to try to fix the situation, etc. This is a very deep chapter, and I'm trying to the best of my abilities to transfer or translate not only the words, but actually the deep message of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. So it says also as follows. You ever go to a marriage, to a ceremony? How elegant, the Hatan and the Kala look, and especially the Kala with the wedding gown, makeup, hairdo, jewelry. Okay, let's be honest. And that's a blessing from heaven that every bride looks so presentable and holy under the chuppah. But comes Rabbi Moshe Cordovero and it says, every person must wear jewelry like the bride wears under the chuppah. And everybody must put on makeup and be elegant like a bride under the chuppah. So your question would be, Rabbi, I'm a man, I'm not a bride. So what does it mean to beautify myself? It says very simple. Mine kishutim umalbushim naim, adornment and beautiful outfits. Tikune hamidot. It says self-improvement. Jewelry for the body, there is a parallel to the midot. You want a nice carat ring? You like a beautiful pendant? Or an earrings? Or a necklace set? Transfer that into the midot. And the more the midot the husband has at home, the more the wife will be happy. And if the wife is happy, maybe she wouldn't demand so many materialistic things. Because sometimes people, men or women, they believe that with something materialistic, the matter is taken care of. And based on what we are learning now, that's secondary. Especially the midot. So then you are like a carrot, like a diamond. You have color, you have clarity, you have the cut, you have the cost. So it says, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, and it says, Umiyad hi niseet lo ve'ena poreshet mimenu. It says, when Hashem sees that a person is trying and is improving and is exercising self-control and is doing whatever he or she can to refine ourselves in our character, in our self-improvement, it says, He niseet lo. God says, I want to marry you. What does it mean, I want to marry you? Since when God gets married? Actually, God and the Jewish people have a marriage. And the contract is the Torah. We learned that in Shavuot time. And it says, He niseet lo. The Shekhinah becomes attached to the person. And it says, Ve'eno poreshet mimenu. And God says, I'm moving in. I'm moving in together with you. With you here means individually. That every one of us has the power to achieve this goal, which is godliness. And let's clarify. Godliness doesn't mean not living life. Godliness doesn't mean that you have to sell your condominium or you have to get rid of your car. Godliness means that I act in a different way. We're not even talking about halachot, Jewish laws. We're talking about, as he said before, the adornment of the person are the midot of the person. When they say he's a nice person, what makes him nice? What makes him nice? Does he have a nice character? Does he speak properly to people? Does he greet people with a smile? As we learned yesterday, actually, Mehila, that was in Spanish class. But okay, that was one of the messages that we learned. We learned it a few weeks ago in Tomer Devora when we talked about the face of the person. You understand? This is the marriage between God and the person, male or female. The marriage means like a strong bonding. And imagine yourself, once we are able to develop a strong bonding with God, we become the untouchables. And I don't mean Elliot Ness, for those who remember from childhood, Amavdil. We're talking about Hashem's constant protection and supervision. Like David HaMelech. You think David HaMelech was born David HaMelech? David HaMelech had such a challenging life. From family feud, in many stages of life, and many other matters. You think David HaMelech had an easy life? David HaMelech probably had one of the most challenging and difficult lives in society. Your son wants to get rid of you, your father doesn't recognize you as a son, and many other matters. Batsheva, Amnon, Tamar, Avshalom, Shaul, Ahitofel, Doeg, Shimei ben Gera, all these names were individuals that created some type of situation in the life of David HaMelech. And yet what David HaMelech says, LeDavid Hashem ori veish'i. God, you are my light, you are my rock, you are my salvation. Mimi ira, whom shall I fear? If I'm connected to God, who should I fear? And that's exactly the message of today of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero in the topic of the Sefirah of Malchut. So it says here that a person should try to make the effort when it comes to the mitzvot, to, especially in the men's department, to put on talit, to put on tefillin, to say the Shema, to learn Torah, etc. And understand that when you're going to buy an aliyah or you're going to buy something, you can bring a godly thought into the equation. I'm buying a suit in honor of Rosh Hashanah. I'm buying a nice piece of meat for the holiday. Those thoughts, how simple they are, gradually can train the person to understand the level of holiness that we are able to achieve and to develop. Now, we're gonna close the Tomer Devora book. So we do the following now. I like to take the opportunity, before we talk about some laws of Rosh Hashanah, etc., to make a special blessing for the many people that participate in this class, but especially those who need a refuah shelema. I have many names. I will not say them publicly, but I believe that I have many names that we have spoken and have gotten your dedications or your emails, etc. And we remember the first day that we started to learn this, we mentioned the famous words of the Divrei Hayim of Sanz, that learning from this holy book can bring miracles and refuah shelema to the person, especially those affected by the critical condition that starts with the letter C and finishes with the letter R and is a 6-letter word. So Be'ezat Hashem, the zechut of learning Tomer Devora not only creates an advocate for all of us that have been together learning for the past month, literally, and now we have to say to Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, Hacham, Abal Kis'ene, Tizku Shanim Rabot. Now we're going to welcome the world of Halacha from your Habruta and contemporary Maran Bet Yosef, the Shulchan Aruch, the world of Jewish law, to enable us to prepare for the holiday, Be'ezat Hashem, in the most auspicious way. But please remember that although we create great emphasis during the month of Elul to learn about Tomer Devora, but please don't forget that the messages of Tomer Devora are eternal. The messages of Tomer Devora are eternal. But do me a huge favor. Do not worry because Shabbat afternoon or Sunday, based on your community tradition, you're going to be doing the tashlich. And when we do the tashlich, where does the Tashlich prayer begins? From the pasuk from Micha that says, "Mi kel kamocha noseh avon be'ober al pesha." And if you probably know what I'm getting at, this pasuk that I just mentioned is the foundation of the book Tomer Devora, Who is like you, God, which is based obviously on the 13 attributes of mercy of Hashem, Kel, Rahum, Behanun, Erech Apayim, Rab Chesed Be'emet, etc. My dear friends, no doubt that listening to almost daily for a month of Tomer Devora, something must have penetrated into our heart. But remember what I just said. This is not only limited to Elul. Let's hope and pray that these lessons of self-improvement, they stay with us for the rest of our life, to make our life more meaningful, to make our life more holy, to make our life more peaceful, to have shalom bayit, not to get afflicted or aggravated by situations because we build a defense mechanism of self-control and calmness and acceptance and believing in divine providence and understanding that God is talking to me through my wife. That's what has been the last few classes. And somebody may ask, Rabbi, so every time my wife screams at me, it means that God is not happy with me? I have to tell you something, Rohi, that based on what we are learning, correct. How many times it happens that a husband comes home and the wife, for some reason, doesn't treat him properly. And the husband says, Haram, I'm a Saddiq. What did I do wrong? I just came from work. And she greets me with a scream. I tell you what's written in the holy books, that the relationship between husband and wife is not only physical, emotional, or financial. It's spiritual as well. So when we, as men, we may do or say or see things which may not be proper, our neshama feels that. So then when our wife sees us, when her neshama sees our neshama, she said, what's going on with you? What did you do today? Who did you look at? How did you speak? How did you act against somebody? My dear friends, this is part of the Tomer Devora message. And today's class, I gave it to you in a very short, concise manner, because each page is a day. But I think the message is loud and clear. With this, we say, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, we love you. We're going to give you a break till Tashlich Day, that we're going to read again, Mikel Kamocha. But now, Davar ve'ito matov. Certain things needs to be activated in the proper time. So I'm going to remove the Sefer Tomer Devora, but please, feel free to read the book throughout the year. It's always beneficial. Short messages, powerful messages. And if you have no access to the book, go to itorah.com and you get probably most of the series in audio or sometimes video file as well. So, I like to begin the class of Rosh Hashanah with a very powerful message that I found yesterday as I was preparing to a class given to our sister community in Mexico, known as Magen David. So allow me to find this quickly. I thought I marked it. And I said this, wow, this is so powerful that I cannot keep it for myself. I need to share it with the Kahal Kadosh. Rosh Hashanah, Shofar, right here. I'm embarrassed because I had it. Okay, I tried to say it by heart. There was a great rabbi by the Lev Simcha of Gur. The Lev Simcha of Gur says that, quoting Rabbeinu Ha'ari and the great the Noam Elimelech, he says that on the day that Rosh Hashanah happens to be on a Shabbat, this is probably one day in the year that the neshama of the person gets enlarged 300%. And he explains, every Shabbat of the person's life, we receive something called neshama yetera, the added neshama. We have a certain percentage of the neshama during the weekday. Shabbat, we get the extra part of our neshama. But it says in the name of Rabbeinu Hari that we also get an extra part of our neshama in honor of Rosh Chodesh. And we get another part of the neshama whenever Yom Tov happens to come to our life. So now we have 3 guest stars: Rosh Chodesh, Shabbat, and Yom Tov. Because Rosh Hashanah actually is Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. So therefore Rabbeinu Hari says that when we have the merit of the Shabbat Rosh Hashanah, our neshama expands 3 times for the Shabbat, for the Rosh Chodesh, and for the Yom Tov. And therefore it says in the next paragraph that do not worry and do not despair that there is no shofar on the day of Shabbat. Why? The Gemara writes, Shabbat himil iz'ok urfuah keroba labo. So powerful is the gift of the Shabbat, as we started to learn yesterday, that is so powerful that the Shabbat pushes away the shofar on Shabbat, even though there is a rabbinical takana, and we accept that. But it also in the merit of Shabbat. Now you may say, but hold on, how do I develop the protection, or how do I develop the judgment if I'm not going to blow the shofar? So very simple. Shabbat itself becomes a protector of Am Israel, as we mentioned briefly yesterday. So he said, I'm going to say this first to the Kahal so we understand the holiness of the Shabbat Rosh Chodesh. Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tov, mega day for all of Am Israel. So, we started to discuss yesterday some basic components of how important it is for a person not to get angry in Rosh Hashanah, to be happy, to be content, because whatever happens in Rosh Hashanah has the power to determine in part what's going to be throughout the new year. So I'm going to go basically through the prayers, just to have a basic understanding. And since I know that many people, for many reasons, will not be able to come to the synagogue for age-related matters, so praying at home will be the only option. So for those at home, try to see if someone can come to your home to blow the shofar on Sunday, if possible. I know that in many synagogues worldwide, including ours, is offering services, additional services for the shofar in the afternoon, in and out, or indoors, outdoors, in the condominiums, etc. So the mitzvah can be fulfilled in the most appropriate manner. But let's start with today. So last Mosa'e Shabbat, last Saturday night, we did Hatarat Nedarim, like thousands of people of the Syrian community do, Mosa'e Shabbat prior to Rosh Hashanah. Needless to say, that a person, if wasn't able to attend that minyan, he should do Hatarat Nedarim either tonight or tomorrow. In our synagogue, we're going to offer 5:30 today in the afternoon, plus via Zoom, that based on the rulings, which I have it here, for a special document by the great Hacham Ishaq Yosef, he says very clearly that based on the current circumstances, ladies and those that are not able to come to the Bet Knesset right here, they can fulfill the mitzvah through the telephone or different media outlets, providing that they're going to say the prayer with the kahal, and those that are sitting on the bedin should have in mind that those listening and joining in remotely, they will be able also to be covered by this beautiful mitzvah of Hatarat Nedarim, which literally means the nullifications of vows, etc. Otherwise, a big percentage of the Jewish world will do it tomorrow after Tefillat Shacharit. Now, for the remaining of the day, those who may need to take a haircut should go take a haircut in honor of Rosh Hashanah. Going to the mikveh, I'm not sure how that is possible in our cities. So far, the men's mikvehs are not open. But if you live in a city that the mikveh is open, definitely try to go. It's a special concept, going to the mikveh in honor of Rosh Hashanah. And you think and you ask God, remove my anger, remove my sadness, give me blessing, give me happiness. A person should have good thoughts, positive thoughts, when a person goes down into the mikveh. Now, as far as concerned, the continuation of the day. So, concerning the prayers tomorrow morning, Tahanun, Anna, can only be recited up to sunrise. Meaning to say, since our minyan, for example, prays with sunrise, so once we finish the Hazara, we will say Yehi Shem. We don't say Anna. Also, minyan of Selihot that starts late will say Anna up to sunrise. Once the moment of sunrise came, so all the Tahanunim and Bayabors, etc., they go into retirement till the end of Rosh Hashanah. That is as far as concerned the prayers. Halakha clearly states, go home early, make all the preparations which are necessary, and also to the holy wives, remember that tomorrow night will be Shabbat. So candle lighting must be done at the proper candle lighting time, and it is important that we, not only that the husband prepares the candles in honor of the wife, the way we discussed, but it's important to put like a yortzeit 48-hour candle or 72-hour candle, so you will have candle for Saturday night, which is the second night of Rosh Hashanah. And also, if you need to start the fire, etc., then you want to have a live fire at home. Now, the prayers of tomorrow night, they are a bit different, meaning to say Minha, and it says on the Minha, and I saw it before, that the Minha tomorrow is the last prayer of the year, and that prayer of the year has the power to lift in many ways the holiness and the sanctity of all of the prayers of the past year. So we come to Shul on time, try Rosh Hashanah, show the potential that we have. Come on time, it's going to be Shabbat, it's going to be Rosh Chodesh, it's going to be Yom Tov. Yani we have benefits from all sides, and therefore it's important that we plan ourselves accordingly tomorrow and be ready to welcome the Yom Tov, to welcome the Shabbat, and not Chas v'Shalom coming late and already the holiday or the Shabbat already started, and it's not a good siman. Try to make every effort to get home early. You need to leave your office before any other day. Hazau Baruch. Believe me, God will be very happy, because it shows our caring and our desire to connect with God and to do things in the most appropriate manner. There are many, many more halachot that they are more relevant to the night of Rosh Hashanah, and to some of the prayers of Rosh Hashanah. So Be'ezat Hashem will devote tomorrow's class to that particular topic, since we finished today technically Tomer Devora. So tomorrow we can have the entire class, but at least I wanted to open up the floor to welcome the mindset of Rosh Hashanah and to be ready to receive blessings without ends in the most new year coming up our way. The Be'ezat Hashem, we hope and pray that will be way better than the one it was finishing literally in a few hours. Once again, we express our gratitude to the family and friends of Rachel Leah Bat Shoshana. May Hashem give her a refuah shelema and only besurot tovot. Tizkor לשנים רבות, שנה טובה ומתוקה, and Be'ezat Hashem will see each other. תזכו לשנים רבות. Have a great day.